Can you please introduce yourselves and where we are?
I'm Geoff and we're in Deloraine, in the Meander Lodge rooms in Deloraine.
Yep, Martin Brinkman, and as Geoff said, we're sitting here inside our lodge room, 89 Emu Bay Road, Deloraine, been here since 1889.
Can you talk about the organisation and Freemasonry? What is that?
Excellent question. Freemasonry means different things to different people, but by and large it's a self-improvement organisation. So that includes both challenge on the one hand and support on the other to make advancements. It's traditionally been associated with things like morals and virtues, and those things are still very much alive in practice in Freemasons lodges. But there's also an external component, and that is doing things like supporting charities and helping in the community as well.
Can you talk a little bit about the religion side of it and what people need to do to be a part of a Freemasonry?
We're not actually a religion. We have to have a belief in a faith, or a belief in a supreme being or a deity in order to become a member. That is a minimum that's required. As I said earlier, it's not a religion, though a lot of people tend to think or know it as a religion, and that's not the case. As far as what we need to do, that's pretty much the basis for becoming a member. It is a multi-faith organisation. We take people from different faiths and we sit in harmony because we don't talk about politics or religion in lodge, and that allows the ability to work together, not based on your faith but based on what you bring.
Yeah, so one of the beliefs is in common humanity. So no matter what the faith is, all those different people from different groups can work together, work in unity. That's one of the overriding concepts.
You've talked about there's different members of this lodge that have different religious backgrounds.
Correct, yes. Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about yourselves when you're not here? What do you both do?
I'm currently a nurse. I've actually been, over the last 12 months, challenged with cancer. So I've just got on the other side of that. So I'm working towards getting back into my employment, which is local, in the aged care sector. And I'm currently just enjoying my family and renovating.
Okay, I'm a project management consultant and a dad and a husband. I'm at my stage in my career where I do have a bit of discretionary time. One of the things I do spend my time with is helping to revive Freemasonry, and that's my sort of project right here in Deloraine at the moment. Can
you talk about your histories with this lodge?
I was initiated here in 1998, and which is classed as my mother lodge, because that's where you're initiated. That's the terminology for it. I've been a member here off and on for over 25 years. And I found that it is enjoyable. I wouldn't have stayed in it if it wasn't enjoyable to me, and I wouldn't stay in it if I didn't get anything out of it either. So it's a mutual thing, but it definitely provides something for me to stay.
Yeah, I think I joined Meander around about 18 months ago. I'm a member at other lodges in the state as well. I joined Freemasonry 8 years ago. And what particularly attracted me to it was the energy of the members in trying to restore this lodge back to what it was and improve it. And I'd done a little bit of that work in other lodges, and the members here asked me to come along and talk to them about what I'd done, and before you know it, they'd got me interested enough to come and join as well. I'm dead keen to pursue that, and quite frankly we've got to. We've given ourselves a timeline of the next 3 to 5 years to completely change this lodge and get it back into the fabric of the community here in Deloraine and the greater Meander Valley. Yeah.
Do you know how many members there are here and what some of those goals for 3 to 5 years might be?
Yeah, so currently we've got 14 members, of which a very high percentage is active members. There's some lodges that have 40 odd members but only 10 active, and so out of our 14, just about everybody's a regular attender. We've got opportunity to admit 3 new members a year, and we'd like to do that continuously for the next period of time or into the future. Why we say 3 is because we want to make sure that each new member gets the attention that they should get, rather than swamping it with too many all at once. So that's what we're aiming to do over the next, definitely, but the short-term goal is to get maybe 10 in the next 3 years would be ideal for us.
You've mentioned some of the history. Can you talk about one of the things that you've been doing is connecting historic members?
Yeah. So we recently put out a Facebook shout out asking, was your grandfather a Freemason or other relative? And do you think they might have been a member here at Meander Lodge? And we got about 8 hits, and out of those, a good 3 or 4 we have verified that their grandfather or great-grandfather or relative was a member. One of those was as early as 1920. So we've verified there's 3 or 4 like that. But now we have the task of finding out from our records exactly what those members did do here in the lodge, so we can share it with those families. So we think that history that we've got in the area is something we can really leverage and help create some interest with those family connections which have gone back decades here.
Especially for those who like the genealogy side of things, but not just the actual tree itself, but actually to see what they were doing in their time in the local community, and Freemasonry being part of that local community, see what that side of things was doing.
Can you talk a little bit about the connection, how long Freemasonry has been going in Tasmania, you mentioned before, and in the local area as well, and the connection to Ireland, and delve a little bit into that?
Yep, Freemasonry first came to Tasmania on ships with British garrisons, and they had associated with them Freemasons Lodge with a charter from the Grand Lodge of Ireland. And the reason for that is the Grand Lodge of Ireland was the only one that allowed for what was called ambulatory lodges, so a lodge that could travel. So that's the earliest Freemasonry, and this particular lodge was an Irish Constitution lodge when it started in 1884. Only 6 years later, the Grand Lodge of Tasmania was formed, and then this and all other lodges in Tasmania all fell into line with the new Grand Lodge of Tasmania. But with that previous connection with Ireland, we've recently had a lodge in Ireland which got our original charter, number 354. They've found us because I've created a Facebook page so they could actually look us up and find us. And we've now got a relationship with Shamrock Masonic Lodge in Kirkcudbright in Northern Ireland, of all places. So they're in a rural setting just like us, in a small little town and lodge room just like this. And they've been going since 1903, and so we're in regular contact with them. And they're also able to tell us that our original charter, number 354, under the Irish Constitution, actually originated in 1760 and used to be with someone called the 49th Regiment of the Foot, which was a British garrison that went all around the world from 1760 to the 1800s. It was an amazing bit of history that's associated right here in Deloraine with this lodge.
Can you talk a little bit about the things that the lodge does within the community to benefit other organisations?
Yeah, so so far we've created a relationship with Deloraine House just down the road, where we've gone along and found out what it is they're trying to do in the community. And those that don't know, they're a real rock solid part of supporting people that need support here in Deloraine and Meander Valley. They have an annual Christmas orphans lunch, and we thought that would be a great thing to donate to. So for the last 2 years we've done that, and we're getting Deloraine House to get involved in our next big event, which is our annual installation, and they're going to come along and cater that for us, which will be a fundraising event for them as well. We're trying to outreach to other organisations as well. I won't mention who, but we have started the conversation to get together with a few others in and around Deloraine and Meander Valley area, and up the road at Westbury. And we want to continue to do that just so people can understand who we are. We want to bring them in and show them what it's like on the inside and show that it's open. And we're really hoping that maybe some might want to come along and join as well.
Sorry, you go, Geoff.
No, that's all right. We're also doing Bunnings barbecues to raise funds, which a good portion of it goes to our benevolent fund, which will go out into the community as well, which is we've only just started doing in the past 6 months or so to enable us to work together as a lodge for the benefit of others in the community.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the numbers and where that...
Well, we're still gathering that, and as Martin said, we're outreaching to other community organisations and see where we can assist. So that money is just gathering pace for when the time comes, we can use it to help others.
Yeah, probably one thing to add, haven't mentioned so far, is our state benevolence body has recently started a community support fund where they're going to enable grants to community groups. That's on the Freemasons Tasmania website is where the information is, and that's something when we go to talk to people in the community, make them aware of that. That's something that can be applied for. I think it's up to $6,000 grants that they're putting out for a total of $50,000 a year is their ambition to do that.
And they just go to the website and then they can find all the information?
Yeah, the information's at the website, or contact us and we can put you in touch.
And further to that, as a body within Tasmania, through our benevolent fund, we have been largely supporting the community at large through St Vincent de Paul's, the Smith family, the Women's Shelter, and there's others that we've been supporting as well. As a body as such, I'm really happy to talk to anybody and just to let them know that we're not quiet, we're going about our business, helping others.
Have you found that the organisation has changed much during your times being a part of it?
Yes and no. I think the structure still remains the same, but there's some improvements. There's different ideas that are moving, but also in saying that with the onset of technology, modernisation, of course most organisations have to work and move with the times, and I think they've been able to manage that.
Certainly been a lot of building improvements going on. So the building in Launceston in Brisbane Street's about to undergo a major renovation, and there's been others in and around the different districts that have improved as well, and we're on that path here at the moment as well.
There's a feeling sometimes that maybe the organisation is more secretive, and here we are sitting inside having a chat, and you're communicating on Facebook and really connecting. Do you think that is that different, or is it just maybe more easily seen now?
Yeah, that's right. So we haven't been good at being able to explain who we are, and it was all about keeping secret, not because there are some secrets involved, it's because one of the reasons is they had that many members post the World Wars that they really couldn't actually take on more people, and that was an issue as well. The other thing is people probably never knew that you don't get invited to join Freemasonry, you ask, and no one knew that you had to ask, so no one really knew how to join either. And there's plenty of examples. My wife's one of them, with her grandfather who had a little black case and walked off to lodge, and you weren't to look inside that bag, and no one really knew what he did. And that's reflected throughout the community where they had a grandfather or someone who did it. So now it's all open, we can show you as many things as possible. And that's really because there's this little thing called the internet, and that's got, you just go and Google it, but the problem is you won't really know what you're reading online is the actual truth or not. You can only really find that out by coming inside here. Yeah.
So in order to join, obviously people would want to come along to events and see if they like it and that sort of thing, and then they would need to ask or go through a process that takes a year or two in order to train. And
Generally it takes about 4 months to become a member from the start of your application to the time that you're admitted, providing that you don't have a criminal record, that you meet the requirements of the lodge.
What are the requirements?
Firstly, you've got to have a belief in a faith, or supreme being, as they say, and as we spoke earlier before, we're multi-faith, so that belief has a different name to it depending on your faith.
You have to be 18.
18, yeah. Yes.
That's right. There's this little thing about being male.
Yes.
That's maybe a difficult one for progressive thinking people to swallow. But there's the other side of that. We know the success of men's sheds, that men together is a healthy thing, and this is one thing which has hung on to that tradition. It's not as though females can't be involved at all, only inside the lodge meeting is it like that. As soon as we walk outside, we often having social functions and so on, and everyone's invited to that.
There is a female order that if a partner or a woman would like to join something that resembles Freemasonry, it's called the Order of the Eastern Star, which is OES for short, and they can join that and move through that side of things.
Yep.
Yeah,
and there is female versions and co-masonry. So there's female masonry and co-masonry in different parts of the world. It's not taken hold here in little old Tas. We're still relatively conservative in following an English tradition in Freemasonry, but it's not as though it doesn't exist. It is around in other places, and you can actually really now study online all facets of Freemasonry, no matter who you are. So you can actually access the material these days. That little old thing called the internet has levelled things up a fair bit, which is, I think, a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
In some respects, even though that you can look it up, it takes away the mystique of being a member. And I think, I know when I joined, it was the not knowing that was helped entertain the thought of being a Freemason as well. Depends on your view, but I would encourage people not to look on there, other than just out of curiosity, just a brief check or something like that. But it's much like opening up a present. If you know what's already inside, it's not much fun opening it.
What's your favourite part of the Meander Valley?
Ooh, that's a good one. For me, I've lived here since '91, and I've not been able to get away from the place. I would have to say all of it. As far as places are concerned, I've enjoyed. My wife and I travel often around the local area. We'll go one way and we'll come back another. We love the area. So.
The Meander Falls bushwalk just out the back here is one of the favourite things. I've done 3 or 4 times, and Mother Cummings Peak. And just to go and sit down by the river here on a nice day, it's a nice spot. I quite often drive home from Launceston and we'll drop into Deloraine and just sit by the river and have a bit of a look. I've got a bit of a favourite footbridge down there I was involved in once upon a time as a project manager as well. So I could like to go and have a look and see how it's going.